your #1 source for local news. This is WRAL, coverage you can count on.
I wanted to know from the man himself why.
22 and a half years. That's how long Derek Chauvin is sentenced for murdering George Floyd. WRAL has the unfolding reaction from our community and across the nation. NC State lives to play another inning despite the confirmed coronavirus case in the dugout. How it's hitting the team's roster. A Wake County teacher, one of 2 dead after this head-on crash in Garner. Now officials say she may have been intoxicated.
Temperatures are cranking up along with rain chances. Who's got the greatest shot at seeing stormy weather tonight and through the weekend?
At the end of the day, not enough is being done.
Plus, frustrations rising in Florida as loved ones pray for good news from the rubble of a collapsed condo. Why search crews are counting on their ears to save lives.
We will bring you coverage of each of those major stories in the next 15 minutes. Thank you for joining us. I'm Deborah Morgan.
And I'm David Crabtree. This country has been waiting for today's decision from Minneapolis for months. We know now former officer Derek Chauvin will spend the next 22 and a half years in prison for the murder of George Floyd.
Mark Boyle joins us now in the WRAL Live Center with the sentencing details and the latest reaction. Mark?
Deborah, this all happened just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Inside the courtroom, we heard from Derek Chauvin. We also heard from his mother for the first time publicly. And this is some video of that happening here in Minneapolis, Minnesota this afternoon. You talk about that 22-and-a-half-year sentence. Many thought that wasn't going to be enough. They were pushing for more. At the same time, many say this may send a message and set precedent going forward. Outside the courtroom right now, live reaction and also comments from Reverend Al Sharpton. Take a listen.
We did get a court date of conviction and some time. Amen. Some will say that's progress. I will say, as Malcolm X said, if you have a knife in my back 6 inches, to take out 4 inches is progress, but I still have 2 inches of knife in my back.
And this is what's happening right now live. We are hearing from attorney Ben Crump. There's also family members of Mr. Floyd there speaking. Quite a momentous day, a day that will be remembered for many years to come. Back to you.
Thank you, Mark. Well, not all of Floyd's family could be there in Minneapolis for the sentencing. Brian Mims had the chance to speak with Floyd's uncle just minutes after the judge's decision.
We're getting through this one day at a time, and we're so much better now than we once were. So I'm pleased about that.
Coming up on WRAL News at 6, why Roger Floyd thinks the sentencing sends a signal and how the family can now heal.
Doppler 5000 and this live look over Durham. Both show storms popping up across North Carolina this afternoon. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joins us from the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what we can expect.
And we have some pockets of heavy rain that are developing, David. Earlier today, it was just light rain, David.
We will see you then. Kat, thanks.
NC State baseball's team lives to play another inning after a member of the team tested positive for COVID. This was the news when everyone was ready for the first pitch. The NCAA baseball delayed the game due to health and safety protocols. It was disappointing news for fans excited to watch their team in its first ever College World Series run. But that game is underway. WRAL photojournalist Luke Notestein joins us now from a watch party in Raleigh. Luke, what are fans telling you?
Deborah, today's game was supposed to start at 2 o'clock, but it was delayed for more than an hour. We learned that several members of the NC State team were forced to sit out because they were put into the COVID-19 protocols. So instead of their normal roster of 36, only 13 players are available for today's game. That has not stopped over 100 fans from showing up to Players Retreat here on Hillsborough Street in Raleigh. Owner Gus Gusler told me that these fans waited patiently for the game to start, and they've been cheering on the Pack over the past couple of hours. Gusler says that even though NC State is facing major adversity with so many players unavailable, he still believes in the spirit of this team.
We're NC State. Sometimes we're snake bitten and things happen. So, but you know what it is. Look, we got a great team, and you know it's going to be tough. But you know, Ellie's done a great job coaching them.
So some information that we have just learned. JT Jarrett no longer with the team. He's the player who was reportedly tested positive. Since he's reportedly positive, he's been separated from the team. It's reasonable to conclude his season is over. Evan Justice is in quarantine. Best guess because of contact tracing. Other players being tested now, and that is the precaution that they're taking. So the fans out here enjoying the game. We'll see who else may be available if they indeed do have to play again tomorrow. Back to you.
We will continue to follow this. Luke Notstein reporting live in Raleigh. Thank you, Luke.
Also developing this afternoon, this is the mangled mess of the cars involved in a deadly head-on crash in Garner. 2 people were killed, including a Wake County elementary school teacher who may have been intoxicated. All new at 5, we're hearing from a neighbor who heard all of this happen. WREL's Joe Fisher joins us live in Garner. Joe?
David, this is quite simply a devastating crash. You can see here some of the car parts like this radio dial and others here in the ditch, along with pieces of 2 mailboxes that were run over. Troopers say 2 adults died, 2 drivers died in this situation. They both have the same last name, but troopers say they are not related.
This is a dangerous highway.
It's the way people drive along this stretch of Jones Sausage Road.
Sometimes they just gun it through here. It's crazy.
That makes this crash not surprising for Barbara Harris.
Didn't it? Boom. Sound like a bomb. And I ran to my kitchen window. I said, another accident.
Troopers say 28-year-old Lauren Stewart was behind the wheel of this Ford C-Max when she lost control, crossed the center line, and crashed head-on into this Chevy Suburban with 5 people inside. The driver, 53-year-old Calvin Stewart, died. 4 passengers, including a teenager and an infant, survived.
I haven't slept. I haven't been to bed. I ate a sandwich and I didn't even taste it.
Harris says the trouble spot is near the Amazon facility, where she says drivers often speed up when forced to merge into a single lane.
A car is a deadly weapon, and I don't know why people treat it just like it's a toy. It will kill you. I'm afraid to go to my own mailbox.
Stewart is a 4th grade teacher at East Garner Elementary. Troopers believe she had been drinking and was speeding. Harris is heartbroken for both families, and she's hoping the wreckage serves as a reminder to slow down.
Wherever you're going, it's gonna be there when you get there.
And tonight we are still working to learn more about the second driver who died, 53-year-old Calvin Stewart. Troopers tell me that all of his passengers, all 4 of them, including that infant David, are expected to be okay.
Wow, what a tragedy. Joe Fisher live in Garner. Joe, thanks.
Yeah, speaking of tragedy, these are the conditions rescue crews are facing in Florida today as they search to locate and race to locate more than 100 people still unaccounted for after a condo building collapsed. 4 people are now confirmed dead, 11 hurt, and 159 are still missing there in Surfside. Not only are crews sifting through the rubble, they're still working through smoke from a fire that broke out yesterday afternoon. Also, it rained heavily today. Machines and muscle are powering the search forward, and today officials told us their ears are playing a key role.
We are listening for sounds. It's not specifically, human sounds. It could be, tapping. It could be steel, kind of twisting. It could be some of the debris kind of raining down. So we concentrate in those areas.
Search crews are also using saws and jackhammers to tunnel through the rubble. Some family members say it's not enough.
There isn't anything being done. We're being told that things are being done. We're being told that they have the best crews. I'm not discounting their crews. I'm not discounting what they're collectively trying to do. But at the end of the day, they don't have the ability and the capacity to be able to do this.
Many of those loved ones are gathering here at a unification center like this. Tonight, many are looking toward rubble where their loved ones once lived and are praying for a good outcome. The hour is here. For the first time in more than a year, part of the state's mask mandate is gone. Right now, if you have one of these, you can lose these outdoors.
Indoors, however, masks are still a must, at least through the month of May. What happens after that depends on our vaccine metrics. Coming up, where we stand today.
And heading into a beautiful weekend, you'll still want to keep one of these handy wherever you go. Whether it's at the beach, the lake, or just out for a hike, if you're in a crowd, you still need to mask up, shot or not.
Coverage you can count on. This is WRAL News.
For the rest of my life, I'll always say that I was a coach, and that's the proudest moment of my life. Thank you.
Coach Roy Williams with a very emotional news conference announcing his retirement, showing that emotion, showing that honesty. That is why fans are loving of him, as well as his players. He's endeared himself to them as well. Such an amazing, successful coach over the years. And it's quite a loss for the community when you talk about how basketball is interwoven with what happens here in our part of North Carolina.
Yeah, we are starting our 5 o'clock newscast a little late. If you've been watching this news conference on Fox 50, we're going to return to regular programming there. In the meantime, Coach Williams and his wife Wanda walking there through that tunnel, evidently back out of the Dean Dome. They will ultimately, as he said about an hour ago, knowing that that was the last time he would walk in that tunnel, through the tunnel into the Dean Smith Center as coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels was very difficult for him.
Being surrounded there by some former players in the stands, Tyler Hansbrough, we saw Kenny Williams, a lot of former players came to wish him well, and he talked about some of the responses that he's getting and the well wishes that he's getting from other coaches across the country too. What an impact he has made on all of that generation of many, many generations of players.
Yeah, if you joined this late, one of the major headlines out of this today was that Coach Williams said that he felt after all this time he was simply no longer the man for the job.
Quite a statement indeed that he made. And now let's tell you some of the numbers. Across the country, he is definitely known for what he was able to pull off on the court. 33 seasons, 903 wins, 30 NCAA tournament appearances, 3 of which ended in national title wins.
Of course, UNC head coach Roy Williams has decided those are the stats that will live on in the record books for him and the NCAA. And in the past hour, the Hall of Famer made the announcement official. So many people had said throughout the day, this has got to be an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
It wasn't for him, and it wasn't 18 years ago today when Matt Doherty was let go, opening up the path for Roy Williams.
Quite a surprise for so many people as they were watching that on social media where it started, and now listening to Coach, who spoke for about an hour now. And over the next 90 minutes now, our team of reporters is diving deeper into what all of this change means, both for the program and to the fans and players who loved Roy Williams.
WRAL sports reporter Casey Hintz was inside the news conference listening as Coach Williams made the announcement. Again, he said he felt the time had come. He was simply not the right man for the job.
I just don't feel that I'm the right man any longer. I love coaching, working with kids on the court, the locker room, the trips, the jump around music, the trying to build a team. I will always love that, and I'm scared to death of the next phase. But I no longer feel that I'm the right man.
You know, I've covered him over those 18 years that he's been coach at UNC, and I've been with fans celebrating national championships. I've been with them, commiserating over losses too. But all in all, people have loved Coach Roy Williams.
Yeah, and it exhibited it today of the pressures of coaching at this level, the expectations of winning at a school like the University of North Carolina. It ultimately takes its toll. I was watching today and thinking this was more about life than it was about basketball, even though basketball has been his life.
Well, and basketball is such a part of our lives here, too. And so definitely he brought that out in all of us. And Chris Lee joining us now to kind of talk about the sports end of this. I think, as David and I were just saying, this is so much more than just a sports story.
That's right. But, you know, going to the sports portion of it, it looks like he was going back over the last 2 years and seeing where he felt like he made mistakes. And it looks like he's been mulling over this decision for a while, but really knew within the last week and a half or so, ever since the NCAA tournament was over for the North Carolina Tar Heels. It's important to know that North Carolina's players didn't know about their coach retiring until an emergency Zoom meeting this morning. That's when they found out, and that's when the shock reverberated around the North Carolina program and then out to the fans. Former North Carolina guard Brandon Robinson found out just like all of us. He just graduated from North Carolina last season after playing for Roy for 4 years. He said that he immediately called his friends on the team to find out if this was just a bad April Fool's joke. He says as soon as he heard their voices, he knew it was real. And now he has to come to grips with a day that he did not expect to come so soon.
So it's like I'm just kind of surprised, just like anybody else would. Like I wouldn't expect this. Like for Coach Williams, he always jokes around and says, like, I'll coach until I can't walk anymore. So it's like for him to just like retire right now, it's a big surprise. And it's like I'm lost for words. Like, I can't believe it.
So many people are lost for words. Casey Hentz right now is in Chapel Hill. We'll have a live report from her coming up at 6 o'clock and more from that press conference that Roy Williams announced his retirement at, and we'll have more reaction as it rolls in.
Chris, thanks. And of course, this news means something to just about everyone who either has or has not worn Carolina blue. WRAL's reporter Sarah Kruger joining us live from Chapel Hill, where students and other fans are reacting. Sarah?
David, this news came as such a shock. In fact, some of the people told me today that they wouldn't really believe it until they heard it from Roy Williams himself. Now they have in that emotional news conference, and it is sinking in.
Throughout the day, students and fans came for a photo with this sign outside the Dean Dome commemorating Coach Roy Williams.
I just think he's such an advocate for the Carolina spirit and the excitement that he brings to the fans and to the games. It's really going to be different without him.
Students say Williams was more than a coach. He, in part, helps define the Carolina experience.
Just being able to go and sit in the student section and like feel the electricity as Roy comes out, the team comes out. It's going to be different. And it's weird to think that something's going to change.
I will remember him just for being so connected with the students, just him walking out on the court, tossing T-shirts to everybody, just the institution he is and what all he means for Carolina.
Multiple students told me at first they did not believe the news.
Yeah, so we all thought it was a joke at first, just since it's April Fool's Day, but eventually when we realized it wasn't, it's kind of surreal.
As it sinks in, they feel sadness at the end of an era, but at the same time, appreciation and acceptance.
It's a bit shocking, but we're just happy for him, and if this is what he wants, then we hope that he's happy.
They feel the magnitude of the day and will remember this for the rest of their lives.
Honestly, it's really cool to be a student when all this is happening because I know I'll be able to tell my kids about it one day. I wish him all the best, and I just hope that I'm grateful just to how committed to Carolina that he is.
And everyone I spoke with today wanted to express how much love they have for Roy Williams and how much appreciation they have for him. It probably broke their heart to hear how hard he was on himself in that news conference, because that is certainly not the way that they view him. Now we want to go over to Mark Boyle, who is in the WRAL Live Center with social reaction to this news.
Reaction from not just coaches and different basketball teams across the country, Sarah, but organizations across the state of North Carolina. Look at this right here. This is from Coach K and Duke men's basketball team tweeting, Roy has led 2 iconic programs and done so in exemplary fashion. Virginia's men's basketball team tweeting this just a short time ago. He always had a kind word for everyone. I wish him nothing but the best, and also a really low golf score. But this is something that's important to send home the message as well. It's not just on the court, but off the court. UNC Medical Center saying Coach Williams and his wife Wanda have always been great supporters of UNC Health and the Carolina community. And finally, UNC Lineberger, look at this right here. Coach Williams played an integral role in raising millions of dollars for cancer care research. His Fast Break Against Cancer event the past 16 years raised more than $3 million to support that program. Again, it's not just basketball games. This community is losing an iconic supporter as well, in terms of that position now is going away. He's no longer the coach of UNC Chapel Hill. This is a message right here that people won't soon forget either. Really huge impact. Back to you.
So admired around the country and certainly here in our community. And Mark, he also said that he wants to continue being an ambassador for UNC. So we'll see if that continues,
Absolutely.
Especially through places like the Lineberger Center. Thank you, Mark. Our coverage Coverage of the coach's retirement continues throughout the evening. At 6, Chris Lee takes us back through the coach's years on the hardwood. And at 7, UNC's former director of athletics, Dick Bedore, who was instrumental in recruiting Roy Williams back to North Carolina as head coach. He joins us live to share his experiences with this legend.